9 FM WEZC. And to read the latest local news on your electronic device, including tablets, iPhones, and smartphones, go to DeWittDailyNews.com. DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air, online, 24 hours a day.
WHOW. Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Noah Workman, Department of Natural Resources Conservation Police Officer. Good morning, Noah.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming out and talking with us. And the busy season for DNR is upon us. What's going on? I know Memorial Day is kind of the big boating season kickoff, but how's the lake? How's everything with DNR right now?
Yeah, typically in DeWitt County with Clinton Lake being out here, our busy season primarily is going to be that Memorial Day through Labor Day. So we're kicking off this weekend with Memorial Day. The lake's been it's been relatively slow. Weekends, we've had a lot of wind. That's kind of, I think, deterred some boaters initially. I noticed a little bit out last Saturday. Checked a few boats, saw more trailers in the parking lots. I think people are starting to just get out, put their boats on the water, see if they're ready for the Memorial Day weekend season and the summer season.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk boating, we'll talk some camping, we'll talk fishing, all the things. But it starts with the boating. Let's go there first, Noah. Of course, Memorial Day weekend. It's probably going to be pretty nice. Usually is a good weekend. Even if it's like we were just kind of browsing the forecast. Even if it's kind of a cloudy and cooler weekend, do you still get the big crowds on the lake?
We'll get the crowds. I've been in this district for about 4 years now. And so every year we've had some good Memorial Day weekends. We've had some poor weather Memorial Day weekends. I've noticed that even when it's kind of in the middle, like this weekend, I think it's calling for overcast, but still in the high 60s, it'll still draw out the boaters. We're still going to have a lot of wreck boats out on the water. So yeah, that's things to think about, before you go out there is safety is our primary focus. We patrol that lake to enforce the primarily safety. Have enough life jackets on board. If your kids, under 13, have them in a life jacket anytime the boat's underway. Fire extinguisher, double check fire extinguishers. One thing I noticed this weekend, I ran into a couple boats. Their gauge, it wasn't pressurized. Had one that was 20 years old and it was expired. Check fire extinguisher, make sure your battery terminals are covered, your battery's secured to your boat. Have a sounding device. If your horn's broke on your boat, double check that before you go out. Get yourself a whistle, an air horn, anything that can, let people know you're in distress if something were to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of these things should probably be done before that boat is put on the water, right?
That's what I would love it in an ideal world if everybody would verify all their safety equipment before, but you get a lot of people who are just really excited to get out there. They get that boat out of storage and they take it out before they double check and do their due diligence to make sure their safety equipment's on board.
Sure. Life jacket's a big one. Let's go over some of the regulation on the life jackets.
So on your life jackets, you got to have the amount of life jackets if you have occupants on board. So you got 4 people on board, you got to have 4 life jackets. All 4 life jackets in this scenario would have to be operable to the occupant. So you can't have a child-sized life jacket with 4 adults. It would have to be 4 adult life jackets, or in the vice versa. If you've got, 4 adult or 4 kids, 3 kids and an adult, you've got to have 3 child life jackets to fit those kids on board for those kids.
Sure. Now, when it comes to guys and gals, folks getting the boats out and getting them on the water, what are some of those early season issues that they deal with? You mentioned it would be ideal if they checked everything, went over the maintenance of it before they threw it on the water, but that's not going to happen in a lot of cases. So what are some of the early issues that you see, whether it's mechanical things, whether it's just kind of those just reminders about the regulations and such? What do you see early in the season?
The most common I see are pertaining to life jackets. So you got a lot of people who will store their boats in storage sheds. They take their life jackets out, put it in a plastic tote and put it inside the garage, kind of keep the mice out of it. And they just forget to put it back in their boat prior to going out. Or you see a lot of people like on the Memorial Day weekend, they will take friends and family out, and not their traditional, family, or they're not their direct family. They'll forget to put the amount of life jackets for the extra occupants that they decided to take out that weekend.
Do you make them get off the water and go get those life jackets? How do you handle that?
It's one of those deals where it kind of comes. Short answer, yes. If I've got a boat who's got 6 occupants on board and 5 life jackets, more times than not, I'm going to follow that boat into a dock, and then have the one person get off so that they can become in compliance, and just for their safety. I mean, it's one of those deals where if that boats don't have seatbelts, boats don't have walls.
Right.
You have a collision, somebody's more than likely going to go overboard.
Yeah. I bet that makes DNR real popular on the water.
Yeah,
making them in there, pause their parties and all that stuff.
We've got the label is the fun police, and it really that's kind of what it is on the water. But I mean, I've seen in the 6 years I've been on, I've seen some weird situations when it comes to boat accidents, and as fun as they are, they're equally as dangerous. And people tend to kind of let down their guard when they go out there. It is just and it is fun. Boating's a great time. I love to wreck boat with friends too. And you kind of do let down your guard a little bit and start doing things out there that are a little bit more risky that you wouldn't traditionally do.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the risks of a boat. They don't have the brakes and the quick stops and all of those things. Let's remind about kind of the wake zones, and are there areas of Clinton Lake that are accessible by certain size boats? What is Clinton Lake like, I guess, for the summer?
So I just talked to Charlie Montgomery. He's the site superintendent out there. And Charlie and I, he had told me that he put out all the buoys. So he puts out a fair amount of buoys to get people's attention, to show you where the low spots are, where areas to stay out of. Primarily on Clinton Lake, if you're in the middle, you're going to be in a channel. You're going to be in great depth for your boat. But yeah, he's got them marked out. They're going to be white buoys. They're going to say hazard on them, and it's going to surround the low spots in the lake. Okay,
gotcha. How about no wake zones? Where are some of the highlighted no wake zones?
So the big no wake zones. So you got the DeWitt Bridge, DeWitt Bridge to 48. Sorry, so 48 Bridge, anything from 48 east. So if you go 48 Bridge to the Parnell boat ramp, all of that area east of 48 is no wake.
Okay,
and then let's see, under all the bridges. So under the DeWitt Bridge, you're going to have a no wake zone. I'm working my brain west.
West, no, you're fine.
And so then you get out to about the power plant, where you can start seeing the power plant just north of West Side boat ramp. And it becomes no wake all the way there to North Fork.
Gotcha. Noah Workman, DNR conservation police officer, in studio with us here for this morning. Tell me a little bit about just kind of as the busy boating day, probably Friday, Saturday, those days everybody's getting on the water and those things. What do we need to keep in mind about whether it's parking, getting the boat on or off? What are some of the things we need to know there, Noah?
I'm glad you asked that. Let's talk about parking first. So with West Side boat access being closed, we're going to see an uptick in all of the other boat ramps around Clinton Lake that are managed by DNR. We ask, and it's well posted. If you're meeting your friends out there, there's an overflow parking lot for vehicles with no trailers. Leave the boat ramp parking lot for the vehicles that are going to be having the trailer on them. So that way we don't have, in the past on busy weekends, we've seen trucks with trailers just parked on the side of the road because those parking lots fill up. So we don't want that. It's a safety issue. It's also a violation within the park rules. When you're launching your boat, things to keep in mind, have your windows rolled down, have an escape plan in case something happens. If you've got a vehicle with four-wheel drive, utilize it. Those ramps sometimes get slick with the algae, and that back tire starts spinning. And if you don't have a four-wheel drive or front-wheel drive vehicle, it's just going to pull you right in. That lake is, since I've been here, it'll suck in at least 1 or 2 trucks and trailers a year.
Oh, wow.
It'll put a couple underwater, and then you got to get a dive team and a tow and pull it out. So.
Wow. Interesting.
But don't wear your seatbelt either. There's one time a cop's going to tell you don't wear your seatbelt. No. When you're backing that boat or pulling that boat out of the water.
Yeah.
Take your seatbelt off. Okay. Have your windows down, so that way, in case something were to happen, you have an escape route.
Easy access out. Sure. Very good. Before I get to kind of sober operation and alcohol on the boats and that sort of thing, did I miss anything on kind of the basic stuff about preparing the boat for the season? Just those kind of regulations that we need to know about for Clinton Lake. Did I miss anything there?
I think I failed to say, if you got to have a Type 4 throwable on any boat greater than 16 feet in length. But then outside of that, it's just that have your sunscreen, have your water, have food, things like that. Prepare for being out there all day, especially if it's sunny. We were kind of easing into alcohol consumption. Alcohol hits different when you're out on the water and you're in the sun all day, and it might take less drinks to get you to that level of impairment. So be mindful of those things while you're out there. If you're just a passenger on the boat, it's really not much of a worry. There's nothing that says you can't be impaired or intoxicated as a passenger. Your operator needs to not be impaired. And I use the word impaired because we legalized marijuana in Illinois, so we've seen an uptick in marijuana use on the lake.
Oh, okay.
You're not allowed to do it in a public place, and that is constituted as a public place. But the impairment, as far as OUI, still applies to if you decide you want to smoke and get high. Then if you're operating that boat, it's still an operating under impairment.
Okay. Now, so that led me to the next question. I thought you could have alcohol out as the operator, or was I wrong about that?
No, you can. If
okay.
you can have an open container while you're operating the boat. You just have to remain unimpaired.
Okay, gotcha. So you mentioned the uptick of marijuana use on the in Illinois, and obviously using it on the lake. I'm curious, do you see, like, whether it's vapes, even like cigarette butts, like the littering, that sort of thing? Do you see much of that on the lake? I know the campgrounds, it can be a little hairy with those things, but
on the lake, we'll see. I mean, people with cigarettes, they'll flick their cigarettes in the water. Have an ashtray, use an empty Coke can, empty water bottle or something, and keep your cigarette butts out of the water. But as far as with the marijuana, no. I mean, I've not seen any
pretty
kind of
responsible.
With that.
Yeah,
as far as littering with that.
Gotcha. Back to the impairment piece. Anything we didn't touch on with that you want folks to know about, or anything of that nature?
No, just keep in mind, like I said, you can have an open container while you operate a boat. There's nothing illegal about it. Just be mindful, know your limits, know that when you get out there in the sun, that sun's going to hit different. That alcohol is going to react different in your body. You might be able to sit on your couch and drink a 6-pack and feel okay, but you drink a 6-pack out in the sun, it's just going to hit a little bit different.
Sure. I did want to, sorry, I know I told you, I sift through the handbook of boating laws, but I failed to do that until literally this moment. Accidents and those sorts of things. I don't know if there's like protocol for accidents, tips for avoiding accidents. Let's talk about that for just a second, if you don't mind.
And God forbid, but if you have an accident on your boat, call 911. They're going to dispatch a conservation officer out there. We document all boat accidents, whether it be, boat on boat, or if a boat runs up on a sandbar or something like that. All boating accidents are documented through DNR, and then we document them actually through the Coast Guard. So we, call us. If something happens, call 911. They'll dispatch us out there. Let us know what's going on.
Tips for avoiding accidents, those sorts of things.
Just be on point. Clinton Lake, you're going to have experienced boaters. You're going to have beginner boaters, and everybody operates a little bit different. Just be on point. Have your head on a swivel when you're operating. Kind of keep an eye on where, if you see a boat oncoming to you, keep an eye on their bow to see which direction they're traveling, and indicate to them which direction you're going to travel clearly, so that way you guys can avoid that
collision,
that accident.
Yeah.
At night, Clinton Lake is a no wake all night after sunset. So have your nav lights at night. If you're going to operate at night, have your 360 white light and your red and greens on the bow to indicate which direction you're going.
How many people stay on the lake all night?
We get quite a bit, actually. They'll stay out there all night. They'll sleep out there in the cabins of their boats. We get a lot of catfish fishermen that'll go out there and fish at night.
Okay.
A lot of catfish tournaments will sometimes go on at night.
Yeah. How big of boats will we see on the lake this weekend?
It can range anything. You'll get the guys that'll come out there with 14-foot John boats to anybody. We've got a couple houseboats out there.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
And the other thing I was going to hit on is, keeping your boat on the water. You can't leave your boat unoccupied for longer than 6 hours on Clinton Lake.
Okay.
We're going to
see people do that?
They do. So we'll have some people that don't want to pay for slips, and they will just tie their boat off on somewhere in the lake, kind of tuck it in a cove, and then come back that next weekend and keep using it. So
really?
You can't leave it unoccupied for 6 hours or greater than 6 hours out there.
What do you do in that circumstance if someone has left it?
We tow that boat. So if we kind of we're going to watch that boat. We've got to, and we'll have it towed, and they'll have to go get it from a tow yard.
Where do you take a boat? Like, where's the tow yard for a boat?
We got to call the Illinois State Police dispatch. Will get us a tow, and have to figure it out.
So they like take it off the water.
Yeah,
and
we'll
take
get it off
somewhere.
the water. We'll try. We're going to try to contact the owner first and foremost. We're going to try to contact the owner and get them, because you got to, to transport a boat, you're going to need a trailer. You're going to need this, that, and the other. So we're going to make every best effort to get a hold of the owner and get them to come out and retrieve their watercraft.
Sounds good. Well, Noah, let's break here, my friend. Come back with some more talk, kind of camping, fishing, and all those things on the other side of a break with DNR Conservation Police Officer Noah Workman on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW. Here's Clinton Save-A-Lot owner Dave Jackson on Inflation 3.0.
The rate of increase has slowed down. That doesn't mean inflation and prices have gone back to where they were. Not 8%, not 10%, double. So an item that was $1 in 2020 is now $2. It's not going back to $1. What you are seeing is maybe that item's at $2. It might go up to $2.03, back to normal 1.5% inflation.
Save up to 40% on your food bill at your Clinton Save-A-Lot. And as Dave always says,
Hope to see you soon.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet Service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
Scott Baum here from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. Search our big selection of pre-owned cars and trucks by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. DNR Conservation Police Officer Noah Workman in studio with us this morning. And Officer Workman, let's talk kind of camping and those sorts of things. How's the camping season been at Clinton Lake so far? Clinton Lake, Weldon Springs, all the things. How's it going?
It's starting out hot. They are completely booked for this Memorial Day weekend at both parks.
Not surprised.
There's first come, first serve still available at Clinton Lake and in the two loops that they offer that. This last couple weekends, there's just been a lot of people out there. I was out there this past weekend, drove around Saturday through all the camp loops, and the non-alcohol ones were less full, and the areas and the loops that allow alcohol.
Oh, I didn't know there were designated areas.
There's about 3 or 4 loops out there, and it's well posted. It's a no alcohol beyond that point. It's just, it's for people that don't want to have to deal with other people drinking around them. They've got a couple camp loops that they can utilize.
Gotcha. So what do we need to know about the camping season? What's for maybe guys getting their families getting the camper out for the first time, or maybe they've been out for a few weeks now. What do we need to know about this season?
Well, if you're wanting to go out to Clinton Lake, try to book in advance. Go on our Explore More website and get yourself booked. It's all booked online. There are at Clinton Lake, they've got 2 camp hosts. I think they just posted to get a third, but they haven't received it yet. Okay. And then at Weldon Springs, they have 1. If you show up and you haven't booked online, stop at one of the camp hosts, see what sites they have available for you. Keep your back your camper into its camp spot on the gravel or the concrete slab that's provided. Back it in, and so that way it's easy to get in or get out. Okay. Keep your vehicles off the grass, to the best of the ability. It's one of those deals. I get it that, there's not a lot of place for parking, but just to keep the wear and tear and the ground out at Clinton Lake. Okay. There's also designated parking spots for overflow within each camp loop. Utilize those. And just don't get in a hurry. We see a lot, like the other day, we're running radar and traffic out at Clinton Lake and just seeing a lot of speeders. It's posted 30 miles an hour. Don't get in a hurry. Weldon Springs is posted 20. We're in radar out there, and a lot of people walk on the roads. Clinton Lake just put in that gravel walk path that's taken some of the stress off the road for the walkers, and that's helped a lot. But Weldon Springs, you get a lot of people that go out there and walk, and they want to walk that road around the lake. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I know one issue we've talked about with DNR officers of the past, Noah, is just like domestic disputes and those sorts of things spilling over into the campground and that. Let's speak to that a little bit this morning.
Yeah, we'll get a few this year. It's bound to happen. I think last year probably had 3 or 4 domestic disputes. Majority of them are alcohol related at night. It's just people been hanging out all day having drinks, and then the liquid courage kicks in, and next thing you know, we're having disputes. More times than not, it's family dispute. So, yeah, just be responsible when you're out there camping. Know that that's a public place. You've got a lot of other families that are surrounding you. If you've got family drama, friend drama, if you got beef, if you got problems with your neighboring campsite, call the park staff. They might be able to relocate you. They might be able to relocate them before you start getting physical or want to get verbal. Allow some intervention to come in, and so that way that we don't have those problems.
Well, and let's speak to wrap us up today. What you bring in, take out type of thing.
Yeah, there's dumpsters galore out at Clinton Lake and Weldon Springs, so there should be zero reason to leave your campsite littered. Pick up your garbage, put it in a garbage bag, and then there's garbage dumpsters all around the park. Dump it in one of the dumpsters, and on your way out, I always tell people, leave it cleaner than when you came. If you can leave it cleaner than when you came, everything's going to be good to go.
And one more thing, Noah, to wrap us up, the parking at Clinton Lake. I know, like the beach area has sometimes had some parking issues. People parking where they're not supposed to. Speak to that for us, if you don't mind.
So out at Clinton Lake and even at Weldon Springs, park in designated parking areas. They're clearly marked with the yellow lines, just like you go to a grocery store parking lot. Park within the parking lots that are provided. If that parking lot in which you want to park at's full, there's surrounding parking lots around. You just might have to do some walking to get to the location in which you want to get to. I don't know if I talked about it already, but the camp or the parking lots within the boat ramps, if your vehicle does not have a trailer, do not use a trailer spot. Okay. Like I said, we're going to have an uptick in our ramp usage due to West Side being closed. So there's going to be a lot of boats and boat trailers and trucks that are going to be looking for parking spots. So keep their spots.
So be safe. Be safe over the weekend. Very good, Noah. Thanks for coming. DNR Conservation Police Officer Noah Workman. Network News on the way.